I don't know how many times we can say that Jake Gensel has emerged, but once again, the lights are bright and Jake Gensel has stepped up. He's tied for second on a dominant United States team, scoring 3 goals, 1 assist behind only Zach Werenski, who's having himself a phenomenal season with Columbus. Gensel gets 2 goals against Canada. He's playing first line minutes next to Austin Matthews when Matthews is healthy and in the lineup. He's playing on power play 1 for the Team United States. The question that I have for you, Horwat, is, with all this in mind, is Jake Gensel the biggest surprise of the Four Nations tournament to this point?
You know what? I don't think, but for reasons that I'll dig into, because Jake Gensel is having a fantastic tournament. It's not a surprise to me. It's probably not a surprise to you because we've seen this for years. We know and we knew what he could do, what he could bring to the table. We were shouting from the rooftops for years that he should be in consideration for Team USA before anyone was even giving him any sort of credit. Whenever the NHL was supposed to make it to the 2020 Olympics, I think we were saying, yeah, by all means, he needs to be on that team. I don't remember if he was part of those predictions or those early rosters that it was all predictions because they never really got to the point of naming the team.
Yeah.
But we would always say he needs to be in there. He needs to be in there. We never found out if he was going to be, but now he just, over those past 4 years, he proved himself worthy enough of being on that team. So none of it is shocking to me. Might be surprising to a lot of people outside of this, outside of me and you, outside of Pittsburgh and Carolina and Tampa Bay, if you will. I'd say the biggest surprise, though, at least to me, this is just me looking at things from a grander scope. Elias Pettersson going 0 points for Team Sweden after, I get he's having a down season, but he needed this tournament so badly.
Mm-hmm.
He needed to prove something to himself, to his team, and to 31 other teams that he can do something. Not only did the Canucks trade away JT Miller to keep you around, not only did you become further away from him in a tournament like this. I mean, yeah, you still think he's still around, but you had a chance to really prove yourself against Finland, against Canada, and you just didn't. You played 9 minutes in a meaningless game, but the fewest among Team Sweden forwards and 0 points. Not at all what was needed from him, and that's kind of what surprised me because I thought he might be able to use that as a way to wake himself up for the remainder of the Canucks season. And now, oh boy, Jim Rutherford is going to have another busy couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm sure the media up in Vancouver is going to be really good at reacting to a 0 point performance from Elias Pettersson. I will say that Jake, to me, is, again, the biggest surprise simply because when we looked at this tournament, when we previewed Team USA, we looked at Austin Matthews. I even said Austin Matthews was going to lead the tournament in scoring. We looked at Austin Matthews, we looked at Jack Hughes, we looked at Jack Eichel, and we said those are going to be the guys that are going to lead Team USA. Shoot, Adam Fox is on that team, so there's a lot of offensive potential on Team USA. Matthew Tkachuk went off, so did Brady in the opening game, but the fact is the dust settled on the round robin, and the forward that has the most points is Jake Gensel. The forward that scored 2 goals of the 3 in the biggest game of the tournament is Jake Gensel. While Austin Matthews has been playing well, while Jack Hughes has been a 200-foot monster and really assimilating to that Mike Sullivan style of play, Jake Gensel is once again the trigger man for Mike Sullivan. And that being the storyline going into the final is something I didn't see coming. So I'm going to say that's the biggest surprise. I will give you a number 2, though. And it's not on Sweden, and it's not on Canada. It's on Team Finland. How about Mikael Granlund? Looking like an absolute stud in this tournament. OT winner versus Sweden, which was a major upset, and then nearly brought Finland all the way back with 2 goals in the final 2 minutes against Team Canada. And he probably would have scored that third one if Sidney Crosby didn't absolutely level him at center ice.
I'll still stand by that the Penguins never needed Mikael Granlund in the first place, and he is a decent enough player given the correct opportunity and the right role. I forget what line he was playing on for Finland. I mean, he was on the first line in San Jose the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Someone has to score points in San Jose. And it was him. So who knows what he'll do in Dallas? I think he's only played like 3 or so games since being traded. in this tournament, again, it's you get him in the right opportunity, you put him in your top 6, he's going to do just fine. He's going to be a good enough, decent enough player. Again, maybe he did exceed expectations a bit. Maybe he is playing a bit over his, punching weight, but he's a good player. I think when the Penguins got him, I was excited at first because of what he can do those things. He can be that kind of player. It was just the team didn't need him at the time, and they did not use him in the proper role whatsoever. So you got one garbage time goal in 20-something games. I forget what the exact numbers were.
Yeah.
And for what it's worth, without him, the Erik Karlsson trade doesn't become a full-figured thing. So who knows? But yeah, you're right. I do like that choice too. I wish I could think of a second one right now. It could be the illness that's randomly going around everybody's team.
Yeah, what
right
parties are they having in the hotel rooms after each of these games?
Yeah, I mean, Makar had to miss the big game against the United States, and then 4 Swedes essentially are sick right now. Which one of them, Rickard Raquel. Teams return today. Hopefully, Raquel is not among those. Not among those for the Penguins.
Are people ever going to give Jake Gensel credit for just simply being a really, really, really good hockey player? Because I'm still hearing people say, well, I mean, look at the line mates. I even saw something on, I think it was Bleacher Report Open Ice that was like, look how fortunate Jake Gensel's been to have such good line mates over his career. And it was Crosby, it was Aho, it was Kucherov. And I'm like, guys, can we please give some credit to the player that's actually putting the puck in the back of the net?
Good players play with good players.
Yeah,
that's the way it is. We have seen the Dom Simone situation where it's Dom Simone playing with Sidney Crosby. However, it's not like Dom Simone he played with Calgary. He didn't end up playing with Calgary's top players. He barely played with the Flames. It's one thing to do it with one team. It's another to do it as Jake Guentzel has done it 3 different times with elite talents in Sebastian Aho and Nikita Kucherov. You could even say he played with Malkin for a little bit and succeeded with him. You really could make that argument. At some point he'll get it. The media, me, you, members of the media across the hockey nation, they get it. They see it. They understand it. It is a lot of these fan bases that are still falling short of that, I think, because you hear it all the time. You hear the announcers say all the time how good Jake Guentzel is. He's a coach's son. He knows he's smart enough to play with those kinds of players, to play with Crosby, to play with Aho, to play with Kucherov, who are 3 vastly different players. They're all elite talents. They are all, they were all at their A games when Jake Guentzel was playing with them. And Jake Gensel's been able to adapt and stay in his lane, but also adapt to who he's playing with. Yeah, everyone I think that is smart enough can see it. It's a matter of, him receiving the proper flowers, which I think he will soon enough. This team wins gold. Absolutely. No doubt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now you mentioned the season that he ended up having to play with Malkin due to Sidney Crosby's injury. That would have probably been his best season of his career.
Oh, yeah.
Far. It was 2019-20. He scored 43 points in 39 games, had 20 goals, 23 assists, and then went down with an upper body injury and missed the entire rest of the season up until after the COVID break and came back in the bubble. This is a guy that has put up very impressive numbers no matter who he plays with. So you can say he's a product of Sidney Crosby, but you would just be dead wrong and ignorant to the fact that he's been good with everybody he's played with. So eventually you have to start giving him credit and saying, hey, well, he's just as good. He's not just as good as Sidney Crosby. We all understand Crosby's on another level, but he's on that level of being a star player. He deserves the spot he's gotten at the Four Nations, and obviously he's took it and ran with it. So shout out to Jake Guentzel, continuing to break the mold of what everybody thinks he is.